All right, guys, I want to get started just so I don't take up too much of your time. But thanks for coming to this system sessions today. I wanted to do this particular session on just database information and why we build a database and different ways or tips and tricks that you can use to communicate with that database. I find that this is something that I work with agents on very consistently because I feel like a lot of agents in our market don't necessarily find or take the time to build a database. So it's really important to have a database. If anybody has microphone capabilities, can anybody tell me why a database is important? Okay. A database is important because it is literally your book of business. So, as a real estate agent, your database is what you could eventually take and sell to somebody who is interested in purchasing your real estate business. So, your book of business is that it is your business. So, that is why I feel like database is such a huge topic in our industry because like I said, it's something that we should always be working on, always be generating or growing, and always be communicating. So I found with as much learning that I've done on databases that a lot of people who take the time to build the database, communicate with the database, and treat their database just like any other system or process gets a lot of good feedback or return on investment when making a database plan of action a part of your business plan. So that's why I wanted to cover it today. And the first thing that I want to start with is just like 10 sources that you could maybe take and use. And I even threw in a couple more of just sources to grow that database. So hopefully some of you guys are taking notes. But those 10 sources to begin growing your database could be from past and present clientele. So you can definitely reach out to any past or present clients and make sure that they are inputted into that database and that you are communicating with them. You can also look at maybe old call lists or campaigns. This is something that I think is really important for teams to look at maybe annually. You could go back at the end of the year, look at different call lists or campaigns that you have utilized within your team, and definitely grow that database or your own book of business based off of that call list or that old campaign that you guys have run. Um, the third thing would be definitely consider expireds. And I also include FISBOs in here as another one. So you can definitely grow a database with working expireds and FISBOs. We have both of those momentum classes. So if that's something that interests you, I would definitely recommend getting with me and we can go through both of those classes if you haven't or do a refresher. But that gives some great lead gen as far as people that you can take and add to that database. The next one would be just generic door knocking. So I feel like door knocking is making a comeback in our industry. I'm hearing a lot of agents kind of getting excited about hitting the streets again and maybe looking at targeted demographic areas for door knocking. So if that's something that's a part of your business plan, you can definitely take and utilize door knocking to add people to your database as well. I'd also consider things like LinkedIn. LinkedIn, like we have done a class on LinkedIn on our YouTube channel, but LinkedIn is a very professional platform. It's used to grow professional relationships. So I would definitely leverage a LinkedIn account for a database growth when it comes to things like referral inner working agent referrals, maybe some vendor lists, or even just generic professionals that you maybe have worked deals with. Those people deserve our time and attention as well. So I would definitely make them a category in a database. Same with targeted Facebook ads. I would look at some of the feedback that you've gotten from your Facebook ads. Make sure that you are adding those people as well to your database. And including them in what you are promoting, maybe on your social medias or however you plan to communicate, which we'll get there in just a second. The next couple things, community involvement. So obviously any networking opportunity, if you're out there giving business cards or getting business cards or just communicating in general, I would definitely throw those people into your database as well. Same with developers or builders. Those are good ones too, to think about. Those I would treat a lot like a referral network or interagent relationships. So I would, communicate with your developers and builders if you have those relationships a different way, which again, we'll get into communication in just a second. The next one would be open houses, so anybody that would come into your open houses, I would definitely be adding those people to your database, as well as what I like to call elevator or grocery store trips. So, I work a lot with agents about getting out there in our market. So going to gas stations, grocery stores, anywhere that you can, making sure that you have your name tag on. And believe it or not, it strikes up a lot of conversation out there in the field. So if you're going to the grocery store or the gas station, make sure you have your name tag on. And you'll probably be surprised the people that are like, oh, you're in real estate, how's market, whatever that conversation might be. But those would be people that I would try to get contact information from as well, and adding those to your database. So those are just kind of some sources on how to grow a database. I like to cover those because I think some of them get forgotten. The next thing that I want to talk about is just, your database, your overall database, and your overall sphere. I found this really great resource on the Tom Ferry website that I thought was really good. So I definitely wanted to point it out to you. But on his blog page, he has this article for strategies to grow your real estate business for your important database. So I thought that these were really good tips. He was talking to top producers in this YouTube video, and they outlined it in this blog of just different things to consider. So the very first thing that I want to touch on is this two kinds of databases. Okay. This is something that confuses a lot of the new agents that I work with, but it's very important. So when you want to grow your database or start creating a database, if you don't have one, there are a million ways that you can do that. So, it's really up to you on how, at the end of the day, you are going to work this pool of people. So you can categorize it however you would like to, you can communicate however you would like to. But what I've found that has worked the best is that you have an overall database, right? That has pretty well everybody that you make contact with. You create that overall contact list, which is just your generic database. And then inside that database, you have what we call a sphere of influence. So that's another contact list inside that database contact list that has people that know, like, trust you, would probably do business with you if given the opportunity, that you have created really great relationships with, maybe past clients or even current clients, agent referrals, just anybody like that would be people I would consider throwing in your sphere group in that overall database group. And I hope that's making sense. If not, please stop me and ask questions regarding that, because I feel like it trips a lot of people up. But that I have found to be the best, mainly because also if you start grouping, and there's nothing wrong with groups, I just want to solidify the point that if you're going to work off of different groups, or maybe that be like hot people or A plus, A plus plus. I mean, like however you want to group it, it has to be something that you are going to work consistently. So again, what I found is your general database and then your sphere, those two groups that you can create kind of make it easier on agents, because they're not going back and forth between all of these different groups that they've created. So that's my point. Try to make it easier on yourself or maybe your team, and go back through, if you do have groups, look at those groups. If you do find yourself too busy to kind of be communicating with these different groups, and look through them and ask yourself, okay, in group A, are all of these people, would that be considered my sphere? If so, I'd start creating a sphere if you don't have one, and putting those different groups into just a sphere and just into an overall database if you want to. If not, you can continue using groups if you find that that works for you. It's really just up to you, but I've seen a lot of agents do it differently. Um, So that's just kind of the difference between a database and a sphere. Does anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay, cool. So next I want to talk about grouping, and the way that I want to communicate grouping to you guys is from LeadStreet. Now I realize that not everybody utilizes LeadStreet for their database, and that's totally okay. Whatever CRM that you like, that you want to use, whether that be LeadStreet, an Excel spreadsheet, maybe something that you're paying for platform wise, whatever your team or you as a primary agent want to use, that's totally okay as long as you're using it consistently. So in Lead Street, I just want to focus on that because that's the resource that we have through Remax. You can come into your Lead Street and go to your clients up at the top and go to groups, and it will pop open this page. From here, you can see that they have already pre-built kind of groups for all contacts or birthdays or anniversaries, new web clients. All of that is already pre-built in, and you can utilize those and add contacts as you're adding contacts to those groups if they have certain things entered in those fields, like a birthday or an anniversary date. However, if you keep scrolling past here, you can also create a group name. So again, I've seen agents do this lots of different ways. They'll do it maybe A through D, and each thing has its own meaning. So A would be hot, D would be really cold. I've seen A plus, A plus plus. I've seen numeric system where it's like 1 through 4 is maybe really cold, and then anything from 5 and above is really hot. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with as far as creating your own groups. Just know that if you do utilize LeadStreet, you can come in here and you can create your own group name or a group description. And then if you keep scrolling even further, you also have client classification, which in a sense is its own group. So you can come in here and you can edit these as well. You can come in and do hot, warm, cold. Again, a numeric system if you want, 1 through 2, 1 through 4, however you want that. And all you have to do is come down here and hit edit name, and you can type in whatever you want that name to be or that group or classification and hit save. Then as you're entering a contact, which I'll show you guys in just a second, um, create contact under your contact list. As you're inputting their information, if keep going down, you'll get all of those classifications here. So as you're adding people, you can come in and put them, are they new, incubating, active, however you want that to be. Are they a buyer, seller, agent? And then you'll have your group names here if you've created a specific group name, and then you'll have your specific classification groups over here too that you can pick and choose as well. So that's just how you can edit those particular fields in LeadStreet if you plan to use LeadStreet as a database. Or you can, like I said, do the same classification or grouping in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever platform that you plan to take and use as an agent. There's no right or wrong. So any questions on that? Okay, cool. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is typically how many touches that you should be doing to your overall database. So again, what I've found to be the easiest on agents and something that they really enjoy is when they're considering the database, overall database, and the sphere inside that database is a lot of agents are coming up with their own sphere of influence plan. So I wanted to show you a couple different examples that I have from like Jeff and Jason on just kind of what that sphere looks like for them on their team. Now, what they do on their team is they will go through every single at the end of every year, and they'll look at their SOI plan that they did that year, and then they will business plan for the upcoming 2022 year and fill that out before the new year begins. I think that's really cool. Another thing that I've seen some team leaders do or primary agents do is they do month to month planning. So again, whatever is going to get you to consistently communicate and touch your database and your sphere over and over again is what needs to be what's right for you. So again, if that's month to month, plan it month to month. If that's a year plan, do that. And I would definitely recommend at least 3 different types of touches to your database and your sphere in different ways. And we'll get into that in just a second. So this would be an example of Jeff's Jeff's team's SOI plan. So you can see they just did like a simple graph in Excel or Word, and they do, it for the year, so January through December, and then they just start filling it out. And again, they're looking at what kind of some ideas that they've already done versus what they're doing currently versus what they want to do, and they do this as a team in a team setting. Primaries, again, feel free to be creative here when you're thinking about creating this SOI plan. Now, getting back to SOI, these people, again, are the people that know, like, trust you, want to do business with you, would refer you, that you have really good relationships with. Those people deserve to be communicated with differently, in my opinion, versus just your overall database. So, your overall database, those are people that are just going to get your touches randomly, whether that be an email or they'll see a video on your YouTube channel, or maybe that's a happy birthday phone call, whatever. Your SOI is going to be a little bit different. Those are going to be people that you are constantly bringing something of value to, or sending them something with what we like to call, me and the guys, what we like to call shelf life. Like, it has a long shelf life, something that's tangible that they're going to kind of keep around and keep you or your team at the forefront of their mind. So when you're building this SOI plan, you want to be, consistent with it. You want to make sure that it has a time and a date when you get it outlined, and you want to hold yourself accountable to it. So I would definitely recommend doing something like this. And I'll show you kind of the differences between this on Jeff's team versus like kind of what Jason's do. But you can see that Jeff's team, they do a video reach. They do these not every month, but there are several months through the year, and they'll do a video, and you can kind of see, like, Susan does a clown invite when it's clown invite. So there's a video. They also do an email reach. In their email reach, sometimes that'll include like a call to action, for example. So like if they have boat show tickets or something, they'll be like, hey, come, stop by if you're interested in boat show tickets, something of value or something that's going to spur some action. That's what a call to action means. And then on top of their email reach, they do like a mail other. So this would be direct mail or something other than that. So they'll send out stats, they'll send out mailers, they might do a client appreciation party event, maybe calendars at the end of the year, whatever that looks like, or however creatively you want to take that. They do those every once in a while, probably like twice a quarter or once a quarter. No right or wrong, guys. Like, this can be as detailed and creative as you want. I will say, don't overload yourself if you don't have something like this in place. I have found that it is easier to start small with an SOI plan and grow it year after year than try to fill up this whole graph, for example, and then find that you don't have the time to execute it. So definitely start small and build out big would be my advice. Let's see if I can find Jason's as an example. Jason's looks a little bit differently. And the reason why it looks a little bit differently is because there's accountability attached to it. So like I said, his is a little bit more specific because they put a due date on that particular touch. They put who's responsible for it and how they're going to get it done. So again, I like the accountability aspect to it because it makes you and holds you accountable to getting that done. So a couple of things on this one. Again, they bust it down by month. They do kind of one per month. You can see kind of what that topic is. If they're doing it in BombBomb, I think a lot of these are in BombBomb. Jason and I really like BombBomb, so a lot of it is a video touch. You can see that it has a due date, kind of what they're doing. This category is direct mail. This is BombBomb, I'm sorry. So they're two different categories. And then they also have giveaways as well. So 3 different things. And you can see how each one they're doing at least BombBomb and direct mail every month. And then they're doing giveaways about every other month and what that is as well. So that's just how they plan theirs. a little bit differently than Jeff's. Again, just to point that there's no right or wrong. It's really up to you and how you would like to do that. So any questions on just kind of those sphere examples? Um, what are you guys using? Is anybody using kind of a similar thing? Is there anything creatively coming out of you for your sphere of influence plan if you have one? Anything fun? Okay. Guys are not talkative today. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so what are these touches? Again, just getting back. So I would definitely consider email, even though I feel like email is kind of getting pretty saturated right now. I feel like direct mail is definitely making a comeback for that very reason. So I'd keep email if you are going to do email. There's nothing wrong with email. I would just, again, make sure it's something of value. Make sure that you're not doing it over and over again as like a crutch. It shouldn't be your main point of contact. And I would definitely make sure that it's scheduled with a date for consistency. The other one would be phone calls. So again, I think that there's always value and power in a phone call. A lot of agents, I feel like, pressure themselves out of a phone call. However, I would just back your calls with something that you've already previously sent out. So if you've done a video or a giveaway or something, take that next week after that goes live and do some follow-up calls to your sphere or your database and be like, hey, did you see my video? Let's catch up. Keep it lighthearted. Don't make it all about real estate or all about asking for referrals. Just use it as a simple check-in touch, if anything else. But calls are important, and I definitely think that they should be included when talking about database or a sphere. I think everybody deserves a call every once in a while. Video too. I feel like if you're not doing video, you are missing out because a lot of our consumer base wants video. They want to see you. They want to see your presence and how you are as a person. They want to know what, they're going to get into as far as the experience before they even meet with you. So I would definitely say if you're not utilizing video, start thinking about video. It's so important. I get really passionate about it. Some video ideas that I've seen would be maybe a monthly like market watch update. I've also seen kind of like top 3 favorite listings of the week. I've seen giveaways or just simple event oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Invitations, there it is. And just different things like that. So, again, follow-up videos with calls. Don't be afraid of video. I feel like if you are not doing video, you are going to miss out. You're going to miss the boat. So I always say to agents that are kind of on the fence about video, just treat it like, when your kid falls off a bike. We're just going to rip off the Band-Aid and hit record because that's all that matters. The more that you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. So get creative with video. I've seen lots of people do like, I don't know, recipes, different recipes or different things going around at the lake, business spotlights. Those are all really good content. So I would definitely utilize that. And then finally, direct mail. Again, direct mail is making a comeback, so I would definitely not discount it. However, because we're in the business of real estate, I do try to coach agents to think about costs because direct mail can get costly. So if you want to do direct mail, I would make sure that you are thinking about the specific target areas that you want to hit, how much that's going to cost, what that mail piece is going to be, and then think again about something that has a specific shelf life. So we're not just gonna, direct mail maybe a postcard or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that every once in a while, but we want to be hitting our sphere, especially as well as our database, maybe with direct mail that has something of value. So that could be a refrigerator magnet or a newsletter, something that is tangible to them, market updates, just different things like that that are going to spur questions back to you as the top of mind agent. So that would be some of the questions that I would ask myself as I'm trying to consider direct mail. What direct mail piece is it going to be? What's the value that's being presented? And what's the call to action to make sure that I'm getting my return on investment? So those are just some key factors I feel like work really well with direct mail. So any questions on just different types of touches for that SOI plan? Okay, almost done. I would also consider events. So this was something else that like Tom Ferry talked about in this blog was the agent that he was interviewing was talking about how he tries to do at least 2 videos a month. He does 4 items of value, which maybe, like I said, a magnet. This particular example was a magnet with a list of referred vendors. I thought that was pretty cool. He does quarterly phone calls. And again, he's talking about different things outside of just birthday calls or asking for referrals. It's more about just maybe updating on the market, asking those specific questions about home values, or if they would like to know their new home value, or if they know anybody that might be interested in buying or selling. Because here's the thing, guys, at the end of the day, when you're thinking about building a database or a sphere or both, please do both. Each person that you're adding typically and statistically knows at least 5 people that are interested in buying or selling. So again, getting back to the main point of why should my business have a database? Why should I be moving that database or working that database? It's because it's going to bring you the most business after a consistent long run of you being consistent, touching and communicating with them. So really important, I feel like. Some other things that were just on this was regular mailers. So again, he does holiday cards and just listed and just sold. He makes sure that his holiday cards are handwritten. Something to think about with direct mailers. If you are going to do direct mailers, make it personal. I mean, consider handwritten content, especially if it's a smaller demographic area. You could probably knock that out pretty quickly. Events. So again, considering things like client appreciation parties, or maybe going to a local restaurant and partnering up and maybe doing like a network event of some kind. It doesn't have to be too expensive, but it gives the ability to, as you as the agent, to show appreciation back to that sphere of influence. I would only do it to your sphere and not your overall database unless you feel like you can, float the expense of that. But I do think that our events are really important. The other thing I want to point out here is utilize the company events as well. When we do things like Fall Fest or the symposium, things like that, those are all free touches for you to throw out to that database or that sphere and get people to see you out there working, see you as that like-minded professional, and give you a reason to call or invite them. That's why we put it together for you guys as a company. It's just a free touch. They also do some giveaways. I've seen a lot of really cool giveaways. I'm sure you guys have too on Facebook. It doesn't have to be big. It could be a gift card. It could be a pastry or a cake of some kind. It could be flowers, a bottle of wine, a gift basket. I mean, just get creative with your giveaways if you plan to do giveaways. I think that there's a lot of value in giveaways. Also, the thing about giveaways that I like is it spurs a lot of communication because a lot of people are going to like enter themselves in for the chance to win. So with that in mind, utilize that to help grow your database. So for example, if I'm doing a giveaway for a wine basket and I'm going to throw a video out there that I'm going to do this giveaway, I'm going to require that my people who see my video at least give me an email and a phone number for the chance to be entered to win. Those are just free people to add to your database at that point. So again, utilize those call to actions very specifically to help grow that database and that sphere. Anybody you come in contact with, phone number, email. Can I get your phone or email? A lot of agents ask me all the time, I don't want to be annoying. Okay. I don't want to be annoying asking them for phones and emails to add them to my database to then, get rejected or hear, oh, I don't want a whole bunch of spam emails or whatever the objection is at the end of the day. I say to that point that it's all about how you present it. So, you can be a typical agent out there and just be like, hey, can I get your name and phone number and email address so I can send you some stuff, recently on the real estate market. That's one way to do it. I hear a lot of agents do it that way. Another way, and in my opinion, the better way to do that would be something along the lines of tell them that you want their address, like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, could I get your phone number and email address? I would love to put you on my mailing list because I'm constantly sending things out to my clients to go above and beyond something of value, something that you're actually going to use. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. Something like that to spur interest that they know going in that they are going to receive something back helps that conversational point. So it's all about wording, I feel like, and I would start that wording out that way versus, hey, let me just get your information and send you stuff occasionally. What's in it for them? Answer that question. Um, so just some giveaways. That was kind of the last point that I had to make. But yeah, so I would definitely consider your morning routine. And I wanted to touch lastly on just kind of the amount of touches that you should be considering with both of these plans every year. So as you're outlining what you're going to do to your sphere for the month or the year, as well as how you're going to communicate to your database every so often, whatever that is, maybe it's every other month or every month, whatever that may be, I would add those up. So typically I found that 24 touches is a good solid number for how many times you want to be communicating with that database or that sphere. I'd bump it up a little bit though, as far as just whatever content that you want to do. So, if you're an agent that doesn't feel like they can do a video every month, then maybe do it every other month. I mean, this isn't meant to be overloading, but it is meant to hold you accountable to be consistent. So 24 touches. If you think that you can handle that on your plate, exactly what are those 24 touches and how are you going to do them and what date are they going to get done? If it's 15 touches and maybe 20 phone calls, that's a little bit different too, but it's really up to you at the end of the day. I have found that 24 touches is kind of that sweet spot as a number as far as communicating with both of those databases. Um, the other thing that I wanted to touch on real quick before we leave is how to when we're talking about calls and just overall getting in touch with them, prospecting in general. I see a lot of agents do that differently as well. My biggest thing with this is prospecting should never leave your daily activities. I get that, we're holding deals together, we're going to the closing table, we're, writing up contracts and stuff like that. But if we're following an activities management system, something with your calendar, your time blocking, prospecting should be time blocked every day. Now, again, we don't want to make it, too overloading for you as an agent because your time is valuable. However, I feel like everybody could at least do 5 prospecting somethings a day. This particular agent on this blog was talking about how he tries to have a goal of 15 calls to his sphere Monday through Friday. So you can break those down a day. And then I also love this point too, because I've heard it even outside of this blog. And that is on average, most people find that 40 calls equals 1 deal. So that's just another food for thought item to think of. If you want to try to do 40, bust that down to a daily amount. Hopefully that generates at least 1 deal for you. So it's really just up to you and your time frame and how you run your schedule. But I definitely feel like prospecting to grow that database or work that database is super, super important. So make sure that you are not losing sight of prospecting because we don't want to fill the pipeline, work the pipeline, and then not have any more in the pipeline. We always want to be generating. So any questions on overall database at all? Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions on generating a database or want help or generating ideas, please let me know. I would love to come sit with you and help. I get really excited about aspects of this. I think it's kind of fun to get creative and think about how you're going to communicate. So I definitely would say, have fun with it. But reach out to me if you guys need anything, and I appreciate you watching. Have a good day.